Cloud, and let me share. Okay, and I will go. Do I want to go full screen? Maybe not. Okay. All right. Hopefully everyone can see my screen. I think so. And um, all right. So welcome everyone to the second not steering committee call of the calendar year. We do not have quorum today. We are one short of quorum. But I guess we'll consider this a combined technical slash live hangout call that we normally have. And a link to the meeting minutes, which are the steering committee meeting minutes. That's in the chat. And like I said before the call, I guess we're just going to have a part two, documenting the steering committee meeting minutes that this is not an official meeting. And then I'll have, I guess, two steering committee meeting minutes for the second quarter. One is official, maybe in the next meeting, and one is unofficial. Okay. So today's topics are nothing until I pull it up here. Um, of course, the 7.2 release, the tutorial we could talk about, the charter update, which we'll do first, a config update, and the program plan status and review. So I guess for the first topic, Sharon has joined us. I know that we've kind of had some questions um, and in the doc, and thank you, Sharon. I know you had some PTO involved too, but or business meetings. So thank you for getting to answering our questions pretty quickly. I think maybe the first outstanding question is we don't quite know how long this process is going to take to update everything. So would you prefer us to break this down into two ballots? One for pricing and do a separate edit just for the pricing update, and then a second ballot for everything else? Or do you want us to continue along doing maybe everything in one update? How urgent is the timing?
We really want to get the ballot through wherever possible before the end of June. Once we get into July and August, we'll have even probably greater trouble trying to get quorum with people starting to take vacations and so on. And we really don't want the charter conversion to euros getting kind of caught and happening at the same time as we start the program planning and financial planning for 2027. And we are going to start that a little bit earlier this year. So we've started that in September, just as a FYI, more information to come on that. So I guess the question is, play this back a little bit. And of course, we can't take a decision here today, but there's nothing in those updates that actually haven't been across all of the other working groups. We're really just playing catch up with you guys. You're doing everything right. You're in compliance with kind of all of the updates we did. Honestly, I know some things might like I move things around and that becomes confusing and everything. There's all really to say there's nothing here that isn't what's actually happening and what isn't in accordance with the changes we made based on the bylaw changes a couple of years back, as well as updating the working group operations guide. All of this is actually in the operations guide, which would take precedence if there was something that we had to kind of decide on at any rate. So there's nothing to see here, but I understand, of course, there's a lot. So if you really need more time to kind of go through those changes, by all means, we can split it into two and just get the euro fee conversions over the line. And then if you feel you need more time to go through the other stuff, but again, it really is just kind of business as usual, you can do that too. So for me, it really is we've got to get everything in place so that the euros conversion that's done, and then we can start working on our membership side can start working on how the invoicing is going to happen for next year and so on and so forth. So giving everybody who needs to pay in euros next year the opportunity to have enough time to get
Mhm.
that in place on their side as well. So that's really the first and foremost. The second bit where all the changes to kind of catch up, we've already been a little bit behind the ball on that, so that can kind of remain, if you will. So it really is. When do you think you can call the next steering committee meeting? I'd like it. I mean, obviously, we're going to go into July now, but early July as much as possible. If we could do that, and then I could just give you another one with just the euro conversion changes in it.
Mm. So I know, and Emily, I know you have some questions, but there were some questions from Tommy Tribe around the vo electronic voting, and we've kind of had that chat in the
Yep.
documentation in the
Yep. You
comments,
guys, you guys are all good. There's no changes there. Everyone's allowed to do electronic voting. Everything is, yeah, there's nothing really to see there.
right? And so it's kind of what I thought. You had like we had specifically called it out, and you removed it simply because it's duplicating what something that already exists.
Yeah,
So there's no
yeah,
sense to call it out. And that's kind of what I
exactly.
had thought. But Emily, I think you may have some questions as well around the charter.
Yeah, so I added some questions today. I don't know, Sharon, you got a chance to read my comments. It's pretty much about voting. So you added for the supermajority. So basically, you are saying you have to meet the simple majority. I cannot see it mentioned anywhere in any other working group. I didn't see it mentioned anywhere in the charter.
Just
So I
yeah,
would like
get
to get some reference for
yeah,
this.
can you give me a second because I did not read. In order for me to know that you were asking a question, you'd have to kind of tag me in it. So I have not seen it.
Oh, okay.
But I
Yeah.
can do it here. This is easy enough. Accepting the action specified for supermajority requires vote by just majority. Yeah, right. So accepting the action specified. Accepting, yeah. For simple majority, you need your quorum, and then to take your simple majority vote, you need a greater than 50% of your quorum. That's all that means, and that is standard across. That's everywhere you can read in working group charters and in the ops guide. You just mean simple majority is your quorum's achieved at your 50%, and then in order to take the simple vote, it's one greater than 50%.
Oh, so it is one
Can you
greater
put a
than.
reference? Can you put a reference to my question? So because I have been looking and maybe I missed from the operation guide or somewhere. So I would like to know because I do not see this mentioned in the Jakarta EE charter. So I would like to cross the board is if it seems standard is need to mention in the cross working
So
group.
yeah, so think about it this way too, right? Jakarta has been behind getting some of the updates, but we've made good progress with Jakarta. It's possible, we missed it there just like we did with the chair composition and voting, but I can assure you that that is general across how all of our working groups should be doing simple voting. And I'm just going to look to see if I can quickly find the link for you in the ops guide, and if I can, I'll put it there for you.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
You may see me typing here. Then the simple majority, 4 or 5.
So your 50%, right, is I think you
Mm-hmm.
have 9 seats because I
Mm-hmm.
had forgotten to count the committer rep. So you have 9 seats. So you would need half to have 50%. And of course, that would be for that doesn't work because we wouldn't have half a person, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you
Yeah.
would need
Okay, go ahead.
you'd need 5 for your quorum, and then in order to take a simple majority, it would be greater than half of the 5.
Right. And if we had 8 working group members, is simple
You
majority still 5? Or is it
no,
4?
if you had 8, simple majority is 4 half.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Just double checking.
Yep.
I don't think so. So the
Uh,
quorum for the quorum is if it's an even number, that would be half to achieve quorum. If it's a odd number, that would be a half plus one.
that's
So
what we
that's
just
so for the
so what
quorum. So if it's
Emily,
eight,
Emily,
yeah,
Emily, please stop, please. This is my life. This is my everything I do across all the working groups. So 50% of your seats is what you need for quorum. So if there were 8 seats, 4 would be your quorum. If it's 9 seats, it would be 4.5, right? 4.5 if you did the calculation. We can't have 4.5 people, so it would be 5 for quorum. That's
yeah,
exactly what you're doing today. Yeah. I think we're
yes.
saying the same thing.
Yes, that's for quorum. For the simple majority, so for simple majority is if it's an even number. So if it's an even number, that would be a 50% plus one, right? So if it's eight, so simple majority would be five, correct?
For your simple majority, yes, after you've achieved quorum. Yeah.
Oh,
Right.
okay.
So it's
So,
for the simple majority, if it's a 9, for the simple majority is also the 5, right? Because it's greater than 50%. It needs to be greater than 50%.
That's right. I just put the link to the exact question that you're asking in the I can't post to the document that John has up, but I just put the link to voting simple majority in the meeting chat for you.
okay. Oh, because it's commenter. That's why.
Yeah, I just don't have the link to it right now, John, in front of
No,
me.
that's fine. That's fine. Okay. So let me pull up. Come on, where is it at? Can I go full screen? There we go. Now pull up the chat. Here we go. Copy link and paste link. Okay, so what it says here is the body will be deemed validly constitutive as quorum to take decisions. If the number of members constituting the body is an even number, one half members must be present. Right, so that's consistent with what you just said. Um,
But that's is the number consulting the body is even is present. So this is basically for the in the meeting vote. So what about the in the emails?
Oh, it's the same thing applies. Whether you're in email or not, it's the same thing applies.
so the number of people voting is the number of people present.
So if you were voting here today and you had quorum, right? It would be
Mhm.
the simple majority to pass. Let's pretend you had 4 people today. You could, if that was quorum, you could take a simple majority. When you go into electronic voting, it's based on the number of overall
Oh,
votes that you can receive. So we'd still say 5 is quorum, and it really doesn't change for here if it's for electronic voting or if it's for in person. It's just if you were in person, you could, and you don't guys do it, so you don't really. That's probably where we're having the disconnect. If you had 5 people, you could do it here. If you go electronic voting, we're going to count all the votes against all of the seats because that's how electronic voting works. You have to say, well, quorum is your quorum.
okay. So let's try and document this.
Well,
In
So
the
John, don't
Yeah.
document it. Copy it exactly from the operations guide because you'll see the next section says quorum is necessary, right, to hold any meeting. So it's really
Okay.
all there.
so from
Fine.
this is just the quorum. So quorum is necessary
Uh,
for the simple majority. And for the super majority is the same, right? Is also
No, so supermajority is a little bit different because it's actually calculated at 2/3 of your simple majority, and it depends on how many votes you receive for and against. And I'm actually just in the process of updating the operations guide to include the exact calculations on how that works. I'm not going to get into it here because it's not in the ops guide yet, but I have a feeling that there's some people that need a little bit of education on that. So we're actually putting it into the ops guide and it should be ready tomorrow. So I can, when that's in there, I can give a link to you when that's updated, and I expect by tomorrow.
so my question is not quite that. My question is for the super majority. So the baseline you need a quorum.
You still
Is
need a
that correct?
quorum. Yeah, anytime you're taking a vote, whether it's in person or electronically, you need your quorum.
Yeah, it's somehow
It's not
I
it's
mean
not different.
previous the conversation is a super majority. You need a simple majority present. So that's not the case. You just need a quorum to call it a valid valid voting. For example, in this macro profile, super majority will be a six vote if everybody vote. However, if someone didn't vote, and so that's so the folks will who do not vote, they will be removed from nominator and
That's right.
denominator.
That's right. But it's not,
However, you need to have at least 5 votes.
so you need to achieve your quorum. You still need to
Yeah,
achieve your quorum, no matter
will
what
be
kind of vote you're
5.
taking, right?
Yeah.
And then it's 2/3 of the votes. The calculation is 2/3 between the votes that were yay and the votes that were nay. And you're right. Anybody who abstains with a 0 or just doesn't vote just doesn't count at all. So I have the calculation going in tomorrow. It's possible that it wasn't being conducted here correctly. I don't know. But John and I have always worked on the assumption of the two thirds. If it required a little bit more of directly carving it out, we're doing that in the operations guide because I do think there's a little bit of confusion around it.
Yeah, I'm
I can read you a couple of examples, but I think without you seeing it, I think it's just having a conversation that's just going to go back and forth and probably not be too productive.
I'm wondering to add a link to this rather than have another
I
repeat.
I believe I just said that we're getting the operations guide updated. It's in progress, and I'm expecting the update to be live tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then if there's any, John, if there's anything after you see that that's different, we can have a conversation, but we really did want to go out of our way and make sure everyone is doing the supermajority properly.
mhm.
However, John, can you move it downwards? It's no. Yeah, here. Oh, no. Sorry. Simple majority there.
Okay,
So
okay.
from your wording there, so that's my question here, there. You said the which a supermajority is required. Vote of the body are determined for a simple majority of the rep receiving at a committee meeting at such a quorum. I am confused. So that's why I'm confused. We're talking about simple majority. Why you talk about supermajority here?
I don't know who you're asking that question to,
Oh,
but
Sharon, Sharon.
well, the
So
first two,
your update, the
the
the charter
simple
update.
the simple majority is what you had asked me about in the document, and so I went and found the answer to
No,
that
no,
question.
no. What I mean is, if you reread this one, accepting the actions specified below for which a supermajority is
Ah,
required.
yes. Okay. So if you go down to supermajority, you see the, nope, John, stop moving. Whoever's moving, stop moving.
That's me, guilty.
So you see for actions requiring supermajority, okay, it's approving a specification license, approving specification for adoption, approving changing the name of, and somebody's, now you can go down a little bit, John, because you commented there and it's missing from, I think the rest of it is missing. There's 3 things where a supermajority is required. Specifications, changing a charter, and I can't, you go back up again, I think there's something else, changing the name or something. That's why it says, so under simple majority, it says for all actions, John, go back up a little bit, please. So accepting the actions specified below for which a supermajority is required, the votes are determined by simple majority. The representatives represent. So it's just referring to accepting the ones below. Everything else is a simple majority vote.
Oh, that didn't come across to me.
I'm
I
not the lawyer. I don't,
right.
I wouldn't have written it that way, but even it took me a couple of minutes. So yeah, so that's what
Yeah,
it means.
I totally misunderstood what you tried
Yeah,
to
yeah.
say. I thought you are trying to say if you want to do a super majority, you must get the simple majority first.
No, no, no,
So
no,
that's
no.
uh I think yeah, I think need to rewording that a bit. Okay, I will think make a suggestion.
So honestly, Emily, I'm not rewording it because it's in every single charter of the Eclipse Foundation, or it should be. It's how it's written, and we're not going to change how it's written. I'm sorry that it was confusing, and I agree, but it's in every single charter, so there's no reason to try and rewrite it.
Let me have a quick look. It's not in the Jakarta E charter.
I'm checking right now.
No,
Voting. So it has the supermajority part. It's missing the simple majority part.
correct.
Over on Jakarta EE. Again, this is what happens when we don't work with committees to get things updated as soon as stuff is updated in other when the bylaws change so things tend to get out of date, and then we have the conversation that we're having now. So both of them, I'll find it in another one for you, but that's Jakarta will be receiving that one as well. And it really is an administrative matter that is supposed to be across all charters, and so it's not a problem to get that in.
So I'm looking at John, if you go to OSGI charter,
Mm.
OSGI charter has a simple majority section.
So Emily, I don't want to be here doing an audit of all charters. It is
Yeah,
what it is.
we just to look at the sentences, accepting the actions
Actions,
specified below.
exact the same ones. That's exactly
Yeah.
the same ones. So I don't know if you don't believe me or what,
No,
but
no, I just trying to look, not believe or not believe. I just trying to find the other existence.
okay, so we have it. So Jakarta will get updated accordingly, and that is the standard wording.
Okay, you're gonna hate me for this, Sharon.
What? What,
So,
John?
so I'm just so you mentioned that we got rid of electronic voting because it already existed elsewhere. Is simple majority and supermajority defined somewhere? Like, does the same apply? Do we even need to have it in the charter?
It's in the working group ops. That section there is that section, and I believe there's another section talks exactly about how to do it, what's required. Again, there's nothing new here, John, honestly. Like you can
Right.
do your electronic voting as long as you have a meeting and you discuss the item and you have quorum at that meeting. You can continue to do your ballots as you have been doing them. It's just making sure that the counts are correct based on the requirement that simple majority requires greater than 50% to take that simple majority vote. And then supermajority is two-thirds of the vote received fours versus against. And like I said, I have all of that going into the ops
Right.
guide tomorrow.
Okay.
Right. So, sorry to interrupt again. Now I understand why I brought this up. I think you have a typo there. You said accepting rather than accepting. So that's got me. If you reread what you said, that you said accepting rather than accepting.
I think what she's saying is accepting.
Yeah, it's not
Sure.
accepting.
Again, I wasn't the lawyer who wrote this.
No, it's in the OSGI group. That's accepting. It's not accepting.
Okay, sure.
So, Sharon, I'll let you if that needs to be the wording, I'll let you kind of change that. You should have edit rights now.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fine. I can do that after, and I will
Okay.
include the link to the supermajority because I just want to make sure that everyone is clear on supermajority. And in fact, the charter itself needs supermajority. So I'll get that put in as soon as it's live. And that one, I think we've done a really good job at explaining it, which I've spent quite a bit of time on over the past week trying to make sure that one was easy. Well, I thought this one was easy too, but right. So I will get that link added as soon as it's available.
Okay. Yeah, and we'll come back and review it. I'm if this is the last outstanding issue, just understanding the voting, then we'll see how the conversation goes over the next week. And if we don't see an end to it, maybe we just have a ballot for the conversion and continue the discussion around the rest of the charter. I just want to be sensitive to the fact that you really need to kind of get the
Yeah,
conversion stuff done.
I appreciate that, John. Yeah, yeah.
So,
And as you know, maybe what I'll do just to kind of even save a little bit more time, I'll probably just do up a version that is only the changes for the charter and get that over to the steering committee. And then whatever way things depend to go, then you'll have it right there and you can
Okay,
action
awesome.
it.
All
Yeah.
right, that sounds good.
Yeah. Gosh, that was tough. Anything else? Because I'm leaving. No, seriously, is there anything else I can help with before I drop?
That's good for me.
Yeah. All right,
All right,
super.
thanks, Sharon. Appreciate it.
Thanks a lot. Talk to you
All right.
soon.
Yeah,
Bye.
bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Alrighty. Now let's do a quick status of the MicroProfile 7.2 release. I know probably config is the next topic after that. I don't know if you wanted to bring up anything about the tutorial. We kind of had an overview from Tarun last week, maybe a status update on that, and then we'll talk about config. So, in terms of the tracking spreadsheet here, I've gone through and updated the 7.2. I haven't committed it to and done a pull request yet, but I've done kind of the heavy lifting, or should I say AI did the heavy lifting because I wanted to test out AI on this, and it actually did a bang up job. Um, so do the 25th. So in 2 days, we should have the candidate release done, and then, or yeah, and then July 2nd, start the ballot. So I guess how are we doing on being able to start a ballot for all the specs by July 2nd?
Do we have an implementation? Need the
Ooh.
implementation first.
Hey Roberto, how you doing? For the individual specs,
Hello.
that's a slightly different question. Hey Roberto.
Hey. Yes, I mean, implement the individual implementations. We can use them for sure. Yes.
What about the platform level?
Um, so we need to figure out how to do the release then because we cannot. And I mentioned it like in plenty of other occasions. The way that we do releases is just uh, in the sense that you need the API on central, right? But you cannot put the API on Center without the platform. I mean, we cannot really do a Quarkus release without having the APIs on Central.
So it's a cart before the horse situation.
Yes.
So you could use the RC. So final
No,
the RC.
there's not the is not the way that Quarkus releases work. We cannot push these kinds of versions into Quarkus. They have to be final versions all the time.
Or you cannot do a Quarkus RC using this RC.
We can do Quarkus RC, but the RCs have to have they always have to
Final.
use final versions of dependencies.
In this case, that is if before the final push to Maven Central, can you use the staged version?
No.
I don't think that if this is the way, I don't think it's feasible.
I mean, if you remember, I mentioned these in multiple occasions because, and it's not only about Quarkus, even way before that, even for the entire years, right? I mean, for me, it doesn't make any sense the way that the releases work in the sense that you have to do like uh, a release of an RC, and then you have to do like an implementation, then you have to like, it's just, I mean, I don't see any other Java library or any Java API do it in that way, right? Because basically what you're doing is like chicken and egg problem, right? And we did all kind of workarounds in the past, right? But with Quarkus, we cannot do that. I mean, we can still do it with individual implementations, but not with Quarkus.
So
For Liberty, Oh, yeah, we can do the basically RC. We can use RC, consumer RC.
But then we'd have to push
But
out the release
so
until
but
later this
the thing
year.
is, sorry?
But then we would have to push out the release until later this year or next year. I don't.
Yeah, Liberty, we haven't got, yeah, that's different conversation here.
So
What about Wildfly?
I don't really know what they would say to that, to be honest. We'd have to ask Brian, really. And I don't know that Wildfly implements the full spec. I know there was, at least at one point, some things they did not implement, but I don't remember if that's still true or not.
it might have been the whole metrics thing. That
Yeah, it was the metrics, and I thought there was something else, but I could be remembering incorrectly.
so
Metrics,
revisiting,
yeah,
yeah,
no
um,
longer in.
yeah, it's a standalone spec now. So going back to the Quarkus example, so the idea is that we can't push the final API because we have to have an implementation that proves it can be implemented, right?
I
So,
mean, we can do that with the small RAI implementations, and those are the exact same versions that will be put into Quarkus.
right. It's just the platform spec. And I fully understand. I'm just kind of talking out loud here, trying to understand. It's because, typically what we've done is we've kind of released both simultaneously, right? Where you have the implementation um, and the spec all kind of released holistically. And it sounds like Quarkus doesn't do that. I understand why, because you guys have to have it in Maven Central, whereas I think Emily, well, and it has to be final. So the fact that it has to be final, that's a process decision, correct? So it's
I
definitely
mean,
not technical.
if I can probably push it to make it an RC, but or I mean to use the RC dependencies of the MicroProfile APIs over there, but then it will take probably a couple more weeks to update to finals.
Yeah. So the fact that it's a one-off takes work, and it's going to take away from other work.
Yes.
Okay. Um.
By the way, I checked the Wildfly documentation and it says for the current version it supports MicroProfile API 7.1. So it looks like all the specs are supported.
So we could engage Brian, um, and see what his thoughts are, about doing one-off. I mean, because we've always done. Okay, and someone correct me if I'm wrong. This might be a bad assumption, but I always thought vendors basically did one-off builds because of the nature of what we do, they were always considered like alpha or beta builds of the product, sorry, of the implementation, to get the CCR. Um, but it just sounds like from a Quarkus process perspective, there isn't really a one-off or one-off, maybe the wrong
No,
word.
because there is a considerable difference to other servers, right? So if you compare Quarkus to because Quarkus we don't release the server, right? Right. For example, if you pick up things like Wildfly or Liberty or
Yeah,
JBoss or even Tommy, right? What you get is you have like a bundle where you
yeah,
just upload to like a website and you don't load the entire server, right? Now Quarkus is just the core that sits on Central, and then you just download everything from Central, right? So there is no server you download from, right? You just put in the Quarkus dependency, and Quarkus will auto download everything for you.
right.
It's not kind of like so even I mean we have servers in the past that what they did is they made like specific releases for MicroProfile that sometimes they don't even publish, right? But in our case, we have to publish, right? Because there is no other way for us to do release. So we don't
I
have
got
like a website. We don't have like a website when we publish the server. So our publishing is done on Central.
you. Okay. So we can have a fallback plan of talking to Brian to see if they could be um, comp a compatible implementation. They have the same. Um, they could probably easily consume the small rice stuff, right? The question is, could they bundle up all of it at a packaging level um, for a MicroProfile 7.2 release? So, okay, so we're gonna have to find an alternative. This is gonna, no matter what we do, this is going to impact the timeline. So I suspect this is going to then float into the second half. Sorry, after our break. So into September or October timeframe.
So what I can probably do is I can probably try if I can try if I can release like a Quarkus extension, which is not exactly Quarkus, but it is like an extension of Quarkus that can probably put all the microprofile in there, and that I can control. And that piece I can control.
Could we still call it Quarkus?
We can call it Quarkus extension.
Okay. So because when we file the CCR, right? Because all we have to have is a compatible implementation. Um, and the fact that in the past, we've done alphas and betas of implementations, right? It doesn't have to be production quality. We just have to prove that the APIs can be implemented. I think in a good faith manner, and this would all be good faith. So
One comment, John. Also on the side of Payara, we are near to create our first update release, yeah, for MicroProfile 7.1. I hope we will send that during July. And after that, yeah, we have the plan to also move to the latest 7.2.
mhm.
So probably during August, we will work on that. So yeah, that could be another option, but during August, I think.
Yeah, if we go into the second half of the year, Pyara
Hmm.
could potentially be a compatible implementation.
Hmm.
Okay, so that's an option. Wildfly is an option. We can go back and do our R&D, right? And go ask our respective engineering teams, hey, what's this look like? Or Roberto, you mentioned that you could kind of do a one-off controlled build. Um, would that extension be just in Maven Central then, so it could be, duplicated?
It it will be in Central, yes.
Okay. And how long would that take to do that? And how much is the effort?
I can do it at that. It shouldn't take much effort, and I can do it as soon as I have the RCs or the APIs.
Okay. I mean, that sounds like a viable option. Um, I don't know. Emily, James, or Alfonso, what do you guys think about kind of having a one-off build of Quarkus to be able to do this?
So one condition is that build need to be stay there and not to be removed.
It will be on Central, so
Yeah, okay. So if it's yeah, in the Maven Central, I don't see any, so far I don't see any issue. Have
Yeah,
this
sounds
release.
good.
The other, okay. The other thing is for the microprofile telemetry. So there's I don't know where the implementation will be. I think Quarkers need to implement that.
that's fine. We already do that.
Yeah.
Okay, so telemetry 2.2, which sorry, I don't remember which telemetry backend version that references off the top of my head.
Yeah. The new release will be 2.2.
So in what time frame, Roberto, do you think that you could do this?
Uh, in the next few days, I mean, I'll
Okay.
need the API. I need the RCs or the APIs. I mean, I need something to update, right?
Yep.
You
So
need
that
you can go ahead to do the RC. I don't think for RC you don't need a staging repo. The thing is, what about MicroProfile JWT? The implementation is in small, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So and also I don't know whether the MicroProfile Open API has is ready.
okay, can we chase down so we could chase down JWT? I know that there's an email thread going. I've been tracking that thread, Emily, between you and Sergey. And it sounds like he's about to do a build. Um,
I think
and
he did RC.
he
He
actually
did
did the
RC.
RC. Okay.
Yeah. I
Can
don't
you
know
just
whether he passed the all the implementation or not, TCK. So I think yeah, Robert, you can work with him. And my also the microprofile telemetry, the spec change and TCK change nearly there. So for spec, I just need to add the change log. For the Open API, I'm not sure. So I think it's the that will be in the Samurai Open API project. So Michael and Andrew Ross are working on that. I can ask
so
Andrew tomorrow to see how, or in the meanwhile, could ask Michael how far they have done. Let me see, Michael.
okay, so Roberto and I will reach out to Sergey and just ask, hey, when do you think you'll have a build ready? You can pick up that build, Roberto, right?
Yeah.
And then Open API is outstanding. Telemetry, it sounds like we're ready.
No, quite nearly
Not
there,
quite.
but yeah.
Okay. So it sounds like our schedule is going to slip, but we could still get it done in July. Well, in terms of implementation, not necessarily the ballot part of it, but in terms of getting an implementation built and everything, it sounds like we can do that within the next couple of weeks. Yay, nay? Is that a roughly accurate?
Probably yes.
Okay. So let me um I'm going to change this from June 25th. Let's tack on 2 weeks, which would be what? Someone have a calendar ready? I'm going to move it over to, at least in the States, I don't know how this is going to work out.
Think probably, I don't know, maybe it's a move for 2 weeks. That'll be beginning 6th of July.
Okay. All right. I can go back and adjust these dates, but we're basically pushing into August. Technically, we're shut down, um, but I'm curious to see what Amelia's thoughts are about trying to conduct a ballot during our. Darn it! When do we start our? Do we start in August? Calendar. Oops. Is this the right one? That's not the right one. Sorry, I'm in a different browser right now. Windows, so you guys can't see what I'm doing. So I'm gonna look for week view. I want to go week view.
So ballot start if it's maybe the 13th June, July.
Okay, right. And technically our last call, let's see, is July 21st. Yeah, July 21st is technically our last. So um, the ballot would, I think, technically go into August, right? So um, we
If
would,
you, so John, if we start the ballot on the, what is July the 13th. So the July 27th, the ballot can be closed.
okay, yeah, okay. So let's try this here. MicroProfile. Sorry, what was the date again? 13th?
13th.
Oops. So it'd be 20th and 27th. Okay.
Yeah.
So everything would be keyed off of this. Okay. Um, and this would be the same thing. Quarkus CCR would be, I assume that same time frame. Does this look doable to everybody? Um, release review. We go to 2 weeks. Let's see, July 20th. Sorry, I'm trying to figure this part out here. Because I lost track of where I was. So the release review, um, no, I'm just gonna put down August 3rd. I'm gonna have to look at this. So that means we're looking at an August release while we're shut down. No.
Oh, the thing is, for the marketing,
Yeah.
so we need to have the one day basically to update the website. But anyway,
Yes.
for that one, I think we should pre-book and then make sure Ryan is around.
Sorry. I'm gonna have to go back and look at this. Because this is wrong, but it just gives me an idea.
Yeah, so we can work backwards and then double check with Ryan and to
Yeah.
see.
Um, Jan, I know you want to talk about config. We've only got 4 minutes left. Sorry, the release and the charter kind of we needed to get those things discussed because there's hard time limits that aren't too far away on that. On the config front, um, did you maybe want to just give a status update? Because the last two Jakarta meetings have discussed config, and maybe you could just give a status update. And I don't think we'll get into
Yeah.
any conversation around it.
Besides that discussion based on the slides I presented the last 2 weeks, or today and 1 week ago, Arjan mentioned that there might be a third way to do that split of mpconfig to the core part and the CDI dependent part, and just move the core part as Jakarta config from mpconfig. And then mpconfig could still be use Jakarta config as a dependency. That we discussed today as one third way, the minimum approach that need to be done, that of course could only fulfill the minimum aspects that want to be covered in Jakarta. So Jakarta NoSQL, for example, they would like to use the CDI dependent part too. But yeah, that's a third way, and we want to discuss that next week when we have time to.
Yeah, I'll try to make that call. I make about every other call. So quick question. Do any MicroProfile APIs or specs, sorry, rely on, or APIs, rely on the programmatic config API? Or is it everything CDI based? Because from memory, everything I recall is CDI based.
As far as I know, all the MicroProfile specs at least use the CDI part, but that need to be checked. We need to find out where to do that split. Of course, with that minimum approach, that split should be done within MicroProfile and then move that part to Jakarta. Also, that was discussed today too. There are requirements that need to be fulfilled on the Jakarta side too, because that single Git repo, Maven multi-module approach and structure is not the default in Jakarta. So concurrency is an exception, but most of the others use multiple Git repos, etc. And there is one rule defined not too long ago that requires that the package name of the TCK need to be not Jakarta.star. That was introduced because of some issue when testing Servlet, especially, and implementations like Tomcat do, from my perspective, false assumptions about the usage of the namespace. And therefore, they pushed the rule in the specification committee that the TCK need to have some different package name for the TCK, where MicroProfile, on the other hand, gives the proof that this is not necessary. There's only some technical depth, and to have a smooth transition, also the MicroProfile parent need to be moved to keep the automation for these specs alive within Jakarta, where the automation is not that far. And yeah, getting an exception from the Jakarta Spec Committee to use the Jakarta namespace like the API is using for the TCK, that would be really useful for a smooth transition. That was one point we discussed today. You're on mute, John.
Yeah, we're kind of past the top of the hour, but if I
Yeah.
recall correctly, this was not recorded, but you did have slides. Is that correct in both of the meetings?
Yes, there's an old recording. I don't know if the recording from the long talk on the Jakarta future directions is available now. At the beginning, there was only a transcript available. And then we have in the MicroProfile meeting a short wrap up of that call of about half an hour. That's recorded for sure.
Okay.
I slightly updated the slide deck,
Yes,
and
yes.
I'm currently adding the third way Arjan mentioned.
Can you
and
add
then I will.
Yeah, this is editable. Can you provide a link to that when it's ready?
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay. All right. Thanks everyone for joining. We're 2 minutes over. I guess I'm gonna have to call another steering committee call because this one did not reach quorum. So I will do that.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank
Thanks
you.
everyone.
Thank you. Bye bye.
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 Thank you.